Germany is making a further 19 million euros available for humanitarian aid to Gaza. Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock has been holding talks in the region. In the occupied West Bank, she called for the Palestinian Authority to play a role in post-war Gaza. In Jerusalem, Baerbock criticized the Israeli government over settler violence. She says these actions damage Israel's interests in the long term.
Parts of the Israeli government coalition are stirring up trouble and endangering Israeli security interests in the long term with their aggressive settler policy. Israel's strength lies in its liberal democracy. The shocking reports of cruel detention conditions for Palestinian prisoners in Israeli camps and prisons do not fit in with Israel's own claim to be a democracy and constitutional state.
Let's get a broader perspective on these developments. Randa Slim is a foreign policy specialist from the U.S.-based Middle East Institute. She joins us now from Washington. Welcome to DW. Randa, we just heard unusually explicit criticism from Baerbock there. How significant is that coming from the German foreign minister?
It is significant because until now, Germany has been one of the strongest supporters of Israel, especially also of its war in Gaza. And so, it's better that it's coming, but in my opinion, it's a bit late. It should have come much earlier, especially in rejection of the war in Gaza and the Israelis' war there.
Yeah. Baerbock also warned about the dangerous situation in Lebanon on Israel's northern border. She says she's working hard on finding solutions to prevent more suffering. But to what extent is Germany really involved in efforts to diffuse tensions between Israel and Hezbollah?
It's not involved in any significant way. I think it's involved through the European Union. It's involved through its relationship with Washington. The two primary parties that are now involved in seeking de-escalation, pushing a diplomatic process to resolving the conflict on between Hezbollah and Israel has been the United States, of course, first, and then second, France. And they are now working together in tandem. Now, Germany has some impact in terms of basically, pushing the alarm on, sounding the alarm on any potential escalation between Hezbollah and Israel into an all-out war. And it will have an impact because it has shown itself to be a strong supporter of Israel. And so if in case there is this kind of escalation that leads to an all-out war, I mean, Germany has some leverage in basically saying, we are not supporting the Israeli action on this front, especially if it threatens to devolve into an all-out war.
Yeah, well, she hasn't said that quite yet. Israel, on the other hand, yesterday announced it will move some of its troops from Gaza to the border with Lebanon. In your opinion, how volatile is the situation there right now?
The situation is very volatile. I think there has been a long-standing conflict between Hezbollah and Israel. I have not seen the kind of rhetorical escalation between them in this way. It's unprecedented in the history of this conflict, but also the time of military escalation that's taking place, with the two parties striking deeper into each other's territories. And still there are certain unwritten ground rules that are trying not to violate, especially when it comes to hitting civilians. But the escalation is really significant. And in my opinion, we are really right now at a dangerous moment in this confrontation between them that can basically move into an all-out war any time. Any mistake, miscalculation by either party can really push the confrontation, which has so far been limited to border clashes between the two sides, into an all-out regional war. And you have seen Iraqi militias that are affiliated with Iran coming out strongly saying they will be coming in to fight on the side of Hezbollah. You are going to see more from other members of the Iran, pro-Iran resistance axis, also coming to the front, basically threatening to get involved in this conflict if the escalation were to happen.
Yeah, let's talk about the role of Iran here, because Hezbollah is, of course, mostly funded by Tehran. If a full-blown war really were to break out with Israel, how would you expect Iran to react, to behave?
It all depends on whether that war will present an existential threat to Hezbollah. That's the red line for Iran. As long as Hezbollah will be able to defend itself, will be able to, engage in that war without any kind of threat to its continued existence as a anchor of the Iran-led resistance axis, I don't think Iran will get involved directly. It will definitely prompt other members of the pro-Iran resistance axis to get involved. It will not only involved in Lebanon, but also involved in other fronts, like attacks against maybe U.S. assets from Iraqi militias in Iraq, attacks on U.S. assets in Syria, attacks on U.S. assets and Israeli assets in the Mediterranean Sea. So that's the kind of involvement. But once the threshold is crossed in terms of that war representing any kind of existential threat to Hezbollah, then you are going to see Iran getting directly involved in the war.
The Middle East, a powder keg, still and for the foreseeable future, by the sound of it. Randa Slim of the U.S.-based Middle East Institute, thank you so much.
Thank you.
More now. I'm joined by journalist Stella Männer from Beirut. Stella, we have just heard unusually clear criticism from Baerbock there. How significant is that coming from the German foreign minister?
Of course, criticism coming from Germany as one of Israel's allies is more significant than if there's critique coming from other countries. But the question is rather if Baerbock's criticism will have any consequences. The US government, who's also a very important partner for Israel, has criticized the government many times before and even held back bombs or fighters. And yet these actions have not really led to any change in Netanyahu's policy. And the question is, of course, whether Germany wants to continue criticizing only by using words or if it will take further diplomatic actions.
Now, the German foreign minister also warned about the dangerous situation in Lebanon, just north of Israel. Is that another focus of her trip?
Yes, the situation in the border region is definitely a major focus of her trip. After Baerbock's visit in Ramallah, she flew directly to Beirut, where she met with the caretaker Prime Minister Miati and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Abu Habib. And as we speak right now, Baerbock is supposed to be at the airport leaving Beirut. In a statement published by the German Ministry of Foreign Affairs earlier, it says that Germany wants to prevent an escalation of the fighting in the border region into a bigger regional war. And the statement also mentions that Germany sees the implementation of UN Resolution 1701 as a solution for this conflict. That would mean that Hezbollah has to withdraw its troops from the region south of Litani River.
The German foreign minister has visited the region there multiple times since the October 7th attacks. How much weight does Germany carry as a diplomatic player in Israel and the surrounding region?
Well, it's quite hard to say how much of an impact Baerbock was able to make with this visit. When it comes to Israel, it's quite clear that Germany is an important partner for the Israeli government. But when we talk about the surrounding Arab countries, Baerbock's diplomatic power is limited. Germany's strong support for Israel in the current Gaza war, especially through weapon supply, has caused a lot of criticism in the region, as well as in Lebanon. And in Lebanon, Baerbock was originally supposed to meet with the Speaker of Parliament, Nabi Berri, who's very close to Hezbollah, but this meeting was cancelled officially because the time schedules were incompatible. But of course, this still says something about the priority Baerbock is for Berri.
Stella, thanks for taking time to talk with us today. That was journalist Stella Männer in Beirut.